The bikes are gone, the visitors have traveled home, and the grandstand sits empty again. Yes, it's the end of the 2025 racing season in the Isle of Man. And here are a few things that I think we could improve for next year. So hello YouTube and welcome back on the Isle of Man, where everything is indeed very, very quiet now. They're literally just removing the tent there, the VIP tent thing and everything. But the last remnants of TT and Manx Grand Prix are pretty much gone for this year. Paddock's empty, you can drive up again here. This is just a pretty much unused area during the rest of the year, which is a shame. We should use this more, but so maybe that's one of the things I want to improve. But I was here doing TT, I was here doing Manx Grand Prix. I hope you enjoyed some of my videos and coverage. I always go out, try and bring you more the behind the scenes stuff. Of course, for the racing coverage, you have fantastic TT Live, and you know, the Manx Grand Prix guys also tried to bring you some of the racing, which was also really good. So, you know, we really upped the quality on that. Absolute super compliments and congratulations to everyone involved on that. This is how we bring the TT to a much wider audience. And I know how much hard work goes into that. So top shot by the Green Light guys and everyone else involved for bringing the TT and the Manx Grand Prix to the world. But nothing beats being here in person, and I was here doing TT and Manx Grand Prix, and I noticed a few things that I think we could improve for next year. So this is sort of a very quick video to run through some really minor things that, you know, mostly affect visitors here that I think we could do better. And I also want you guys to take to the comments and let me know if you were here, or even if you were not here, what can we improve for people who aren't here, who watch from afar? Is there enough coverage? Should we change something? And for those of you who were here for either the TT or the Manx Grand Prix, you know, what did you like? What did you not like? What would you like to see improved? What would you like to see gone or added? Take to the comments, let me know, because I do know that the powers that be watch this. I do have good reach on the island and further afield now. I have over 20,000 subscribers, which makes me one of the biggest channels in the Isle of Man. So, you know, let's let them know what you think and what you want to improve. I'm just going to run through the list of the things that I noticed that I think we should look at and improve. And at the end, I have a prediction for you where I think the TT is heading in the next few years. So let's get onto it. And let's start right up here on the grandstand, the famous TT grandstand along Glen Crutchery Road with the pit lane there. Some visitors just pull up to take pictures at the podium, which is still there. There's at least 3 things that I can think about here that we could improve for next year. And let's start with the general state of the place. Look at it. I mean, fine, they painted this railing, you know, the one that's most visible, but the rest of it is an absolute sorry state. And this is the most prominent viewing spot, right? If this was like a grandstand at the arse end of the island and the storage area within it, nobody cares if it's painted. Nobody's ever going to see it. But this is the main grandstand. This is where thousands of people sit and watch the races, and look at it. I mean, seriously. The fences, the railing, the areas where people actually sit and touch is all rusty. It's in a horrible, horrible state. It looks miserable. This is the VIP area. Look at it. There's a tree growing under the VIP area because they've never cleaned there. There's more stuff growing here. It's in an absolute sorry state. I think it really, really needs attention. And you know, like I said, if this was somewhere the storage area or whatever at the back of the paddock, nobody cares, okay? Don't need to paint that or whatever. I mean, literally there's grass growing and under the VIP area. It's very, very important plants. Maybe that's what VIP stands for, I don't know. It's just in such a sorry state. And this is not just, you know, oh, it's after winter, Frank. No. This is 2 weeks after Manx Grand Prix. I was here at Manx Grand Prix where I first noticed it, because the area where you sit, where you actually grab the, you know, the fence and the railings, you're actually grabbing the rust. So this is just not good enough. And, you know, I would really, really hope that we can give this a refresh. Now, the Department of Infrastructure has delusions of grandeur. They always want a brand new grandstand here. They had these plans for ages. Maybe that's part of their plan, right? They're just gonna do what they always do with stuff over here, just let it fall into disrepair. Okay, number 2. While we're at it, it is actually the scoreboard. Where is it? Where's our new scoreboard that was promised to us? Come on. It's just so, it makes me so angry. Yes, I know it may be outdated, blah, blah, blah. it's still tradition as part of the TT, right? And maybe at least we could have something there again, instead of these stupid 2 screens that they put there now, which are not a replacement for the scoreboard. It would be really, really nice to see a new version of the old scoreboard. Maybe we can update it a little bit. You know, put augmented reality on it so you can scan it with your phone and something happens, or do something, you know, modernize this. Don't just let the old scoreboard fall into disrepair and then, you know, simply say, oh, but, well, here's some screens, that's the replacement. It's not. So I don't like the fact that they lied to everyone again that they would replace it and then they didn't do it, but it's typical government here. So yeah, the second point is indeed the scoreboard. Give us a new one, give us something, you know, some progress, something, bring a newer version, a mixture between tradition and modern, something, because it looks crappy without it. Okay, while I'm up here, let's also have a quick chat about this thing, the barrier and, well, the guardrail and the wall it sits on. And for once, I'm not having a go at the G4S people who were up here during Men's Grand Prix and who I observed being over the top and unnecessarily telling people not to stand here, not because they blocked the view, that I would understand, but because of the, you know, keep free wheelchair access bit. I mean, they could help the 2 wheelchair users if they need to go through here. Instead, they told people to stand behind the line and take the picture. Completely unnecessary, detrimental to the event. Like these people often are, in my opinion. I don't like G4S, I don't think they're any good. But it's not about them this time. They're not all bad, okay? Some of them are really great, but some of them are really meh. But it's not about them, it's about this actual structure. Because the design of the grandstand isn't actually great. Because if you sit here, you can see the podium, no problem, but you can't really see very much of the pit lane. And you want to see the pit lane during the race, you want to see the pit stops. It's one of the most exciting things of sitting here. So my suggestion would be to replace this railing and the wall it sits on with an armored glass version, so you can actually see through. So it still acts, if you make it thick enough and safe enough, just as an armored railing, armored glass railing. You can still use it as a safety railing, nobody will fall down. But at the same time, people who sit on the grandstand will have a much better view of the pit lane and they can see all the action in there. And I don't think that would be too much of a building work. Maybe instead of, you know, building a brand new grandstand, which I don't think we have the money for, they can sort of do improvements like this. And one of them, you can have that improvement suggestion for free, is replace this stupid thing with an armored glass one so people have a better view. The next suggestion has to do with this stairwell here behind me. And that's the one that comes down from the grandstand to the area where the winner's enclosure is. And we'll talk about that in a second. It's a very, very simple suggestion here for the organizers, because every time the race is over, people of course walk down there to the winner's enclosure, which is where the riders are, but because you have a great view from up there of this area, people tend to stand on the, or stop on the stairwell on the way down to take a picture. And then some angry G4S person will pop up and tell them get a move on. They're not always angry, but you know what I mean. It's like, you know, you're not supposed to stand there. We could argue about that, if it's really such a big deal, if you stop there for a second to take a picture or not. But fine, I understand you have, you know, crowd flows and health and safety and whatnot. So let's just say it's okay not to stop there. So instead of, you know, putting a poor G4S person there, making them unpopular by moving people on, why not put, you know, banners and a barrier there so you can't see the winner's enclosure from the stairwell. You can just walk up and down. You could easily put, you know, some plywood with some nice advertisements, because there's a Marshall advert here always. Make it bigger, make it a nice, you know, plywood sort of wall there. So when you walk down, you can't actually see the winner's enclosure, which means people won't stop to take pictures of it. And of course, it wouldn't block your view from up there. If you're still on the grandstand watching from there, you're totally fine. So there's your very cheap suggestion from me, you know, put a barrier there, or a visual barrier there, to make the flow of people work better and to prevent some poor G4S person having to shout at people to move, because that's not a nice job, is it? Next, let's talk about the winner's enclosure itself. When I was in council, not too long ago, as you remember, I'm a Douglas, well, was a Douglas city councillor. I was a councillor when we were made a city and when the Pope, so the Queen gave us a city and the Pope gave us a cathedral in my first term of councillor. It's not bad going, isn't it? I had absolutely nothing to do with any of it, but we take all of the credit. That's politics for you. While I was in council, I was on the Regeneration and Community Committee, which looks after Noble's Park, because as I'm sure you know from my previous videos, Douglas City Council actually owns Noble's Park. Now, Henry Bloom Noble didn't donate the whole of it. That's not true. He donated part of it and the council bought the rest. But this is owned by Douglas Council, by the city of Douglas. And during TT, we had the keys over to central government under a licensing agreement, which was also renewed while I was there, and we argued about the terms and this and that. But it's all good. You know, we had the keys over, and the central government, and the motorsports division, and all those wonderful people run the TT. And they came to us not too long ago, a couple of years ago, I think it was, and they asked if they could extend and improve the winner's enclosure. And they showed us the plans, and we told them, like, guys, yeah, no problem. You just want to make it a bit wider. No big deal for us. You know, it's good, whatever. But why don't you go like a step further and make it really, really nice? Because it's still not. You know, especially, you know, doing Manx Grand Prix is not that bad because the visitor numbers are much, much lower. But doing TT, you have like, you know, 20, 30 deep here, people standing, and really only the ones right at the front can see, because it's almost even. Like, it's almost level. And it's not a great place to watch. And then the worst thing then is you get, you know, the G4S people get in the way because they're down there, all the VIPs get in the way, all the media get in the way before you can actually see the riders. So if you are just a spectator who wants to see the riders, your view is sort of blocked by all the people in the winner's enclosure, and then all the people in front of you outside of it, which is not ideal. We could do a lot better here. We could make this, you know, more sloped, or I don't know, loads of different ideas. Another free idea here for our lovely, lovely government, apart from improve this bloody area, put a big screen there with a live camera feed when the riders come in. So anyone at the winner's enclosure, while you don't want to change this into a big, nice place, like a sloped or, I don't know, sort of amphitheater style, put a screen there with a live camera feed from the winner's enclosure. So especially during TT, when there's hundreds of people standing here, they can actually see what's happening. It's not that hard, is it? Also, while we're here, those are our lovely, lovely Victorian toilets. People have watched the winners come in from these Victorian toilets since Victorian time. There was no TT in Victorian time. Since we race up here, okay? Loads and loads of old pictures around of people watching from the roof of the toilet. It's a very sturdy building, it's not a problem. Of course, these days, as soon as you go up there, someone dared to do it during Manx Grand Prix this year, and of course some G4S person was like, me, instantly, because they have nothing else to do. I know people want to watch from there. People have always watched from up there. Yes, health and safety, blah, 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 they may fall off, whoop-de-doo, it's the TT. If you want to make it safe, let's make this part of, you know, the viewing area. Let's go one step further, put stairs at the back, reinforce the building and the roof, put guardrails there, and make it a proper viewing area for the winner's enclosure, because it's a great view from up there. You know, instead of prohibiting people, let's follow what people already do and make a part of it. And, you know, create another little spectating spot. The next topic is footbridges. And we start with the lack thereof, because those of you who followed the TT and the Manx Grand Prix for a little longer and who've been here in the past will know that there used to be a footbridge here from this side over to the graveyard, the Douglas Cemetery. Like with most other things around here, it wasn't maintained. It literally fell into a state of disrepair. It was unsafe. They tore it down. Did they replace it? Did they? Of course they didn't. Why would we? Why would we need more footbridges and make it more convenient to cross over, right? So, how about we rebuild this footbridge? Now, why is this a good footbridge, you think? Because you're not actually supposed to watch from the cemetery, which, you know, I was dead and lying there. I would ask people to cement a chair onto my grave and let people watch, but fine, everyone's different. So, why would it be a good idea? Well, very simple. Because when you cross over and you go through the cemetery, you get to the other side of the start line. This is a position I've showed you a few times in my videos, and to get to it now means you have to walk all the way down to St. Ninians, cross over the bridge there, then walk all the way down through Williston, through the cemetery, and then onto the start line, which is sort of much longer. It's at least 10-15 minute longer walk. So it'd be much better to have this footbridge back and allow people, A, people from Williston to come over and watch the races easier, but B, people who are here and want to go to the other side of the start line, which is a very, very popular spot, to get there easier. You know, it would be like a 5-minute walk instead of a 20-minute walk. So How about we bring this footbridge back? Because there was nothing wrong with it, apart from that you people, once again, did not maintain stuff. And footbridge topic number 2 involves this one here at Sagninians, which is probably one of the most used footbridges during the TT or around the whole of the TT course. Yeah, not many actually. There's a few in Ramsey. Wells. Are there any footbridges anywhere else? I think it's only Ramsey and Douglas really. This one here at Sagninians you will know well. It's at the beginning of Bray Hill. It's a great spot. Loads of people cross over to watch from the petrol station, or indeed to come from the grandstand to go over to the other side of the start line, like I showed you loads of times in my video. And you all of course watched my lectures on advanced spectating, so you will know what role this bridge plays. Because it's such a great spot to watch and you can see down Bray Hill and get views you don't normally get, people have a tendency to stop there and try and take pictures. If you do so, no surprise, there will be a woman here, and it's always a girl. I'm not sure if it's always the same girl, but it's always a girl, a woman, standing there, G4S of course, shouting at people, keep moving on the bridge. One of the main things, if you watch footage from here, if you spectated from here, you will have heard her shouting, get moving on the bridge, or keep moving, hundreds, thousands of times during the 2 weeks that she works there. Not having a go at her at all. That's her job, but it's a horrible job, and I'm having a go at the people who allow it to happen. Because, guess what we could do? Look what we already have there. We already have a banner up there. How about we use our brains just a little bit for a change? I know you work for the government and it's not really part of your, thing, but anyway, let's try and use our brains here a little bit. How about we, put banners all around this bridge? So people don't have a view, so they don't stop. They just keep moving because they want to see the races. So instead of having a spot where people want to stop, you have a spot where people want to get on and off quickly because they want to see again. So, let's expand, and you can actually sell that as additional advertising space. Ever thought of that, dudes? This bridge, by the way, is removable. It will be removed again in probably a couple of days or weeks and gets back into storage. And it comes back in spring, just before the TT. So how about, we save this poor girl who has to stand there. Imagine having a job where it is your job to stand for 8 hours a day at the side of a road and shout, keep moving on the bridge please, every few seconds at people. That's an insane job. I would never put anyone through that. It's horrible. Poor woman. So let's, make her life easier. We would still need, probably a couple of people there just to make sure, for example, now they don't actually help people across, which I really don't like. They should be helping people, because it says, doesn't it say on the back of their things here to help? Well, they don't really help much. But it would be good to have someone here just for safety, just to, if you can't look through the bridge anymore, if we really encapsulate this in banners, then it would be good to have someone sort of patrolling up and down in case someone falls or needs help. So you would still need, someone maybe there from G4S or the marshals or, someone. But at least the poor girl wouldn't have to shout the same thing thousands of times a day for 2 weeks. And we could actually earn more money with more advertising space. So, dear little government, motorsports division, here's your next free tip. Wrap this, and once you replace the other footbridge, of course, wrap them into banners all around. They can be windproof banners. You get those so it doesn't create a sail and fall over or something, which I'm sure it won't. And make this a spot that is, safer and better for everyone. The next little suggestion for improvements, and you can tell they're all little things, but I think they all add up to make this a more, pleasant event for those who come here. So the next suggestion would concern steps. In particular, these, but not so much these, but those that don't yet exist elsewhere. So for starters, if you walk down from the grandstand to Sagninians, in the past you had to jump over this wall. Now they put some wooden steps there, which are great. Can I suggest that we put a second pair next to them? Because there's always a traffic jam here. When people go, either direction, it's sort of one lane. So if we had one to go that way and one to go this way next to it, there's space. That would be my first suggestion. But my second suggestion actually is that we build something similar to these and place them at the other side of the start line, which is where I just told you we need the other footbridge to get across there, because it's a very, very popular place. And someone very kindly usually puts a little step ladder there. Well, it'd be much nicer and more accessible if we put little wooden steps there. So people will walk through the cemetery up to the opposite of the start line, which during TT is absolutely heaving over there. During Manx Grand Prix a bit quieter, but during TT is chocker. Those people can get a little bit easier, it's a little bit more accessible and a little bit safer to get to. Very simple little improvement that I think would be great to have. The next suggestion has to do with that thing here behind me. No, not that one actually, that one. And there's the engine coming. I mean the horse tram. This runs along Douglas Promenade. Now it was supposed to run from here, from the Terminus Tavern, right down to the C terminal as it used to, but not only did they mess up the promenade refurbishment project, that took longer than World War II, as one business along the prom pointed out, but they also unfortunately employed Stevie Wonder as their designer, which means the horse tram, lovely as it is, and I love it to bits, and long may it continue, even if it costs money. The tracks they have, the dual tracks going up and down the prom, they have been so badly designed, the whole thing, that if you have a normal car, you can sort of squeeze past carefully. Even with a big SUV, should be okay. But if you are a bus or a truck, there's absolutely no way you can get past the horse tram. And the horse tram travels at, even for Isle of Man standards, a very slow pace. Which means, during the racing, when the traffic here is already horrendous because the road up there is then closed, it gets even more horrendous because the horses are in the way. So my suggestion is, and I have no idea why they're not already doing this, I think they sometimes do it, but not enough. Stop the bloody horse trams during racing hours. I love the horses to bits, they're great, and they're long may they continue. But during racing hours, definitely during Manx Grand Prix, they were running when racing was on, when the roads were closed for racing. And guess what? Traffic down here got even worse. It's not good for drivers, it's not good for people wanting to get from A to B, and especially it's not good for the horses. I mean, they're standing in, a constant traffic jam. This can't be good for them. So my suggestion is, if the roads are closed, if there's racing on, please pause the bloody horse tram. It's good for everyone. Thank you. Now these are all the suggestions I have for you today. Like I said at the beginning, they're just, basic stuff that, especially if you're here, I think they would make your visit a little more pleasant up there, make things run a little bit smoother. But I'm sure you guys have tons of other suggestions, what's good, what's bad about the TT. Of course, we could talk about things like the access road. I mean, we've only been racing here since 1907. Why have more than one tiny little one-lane access road, right? I mean, we couldn't possibly think about, I don't know, making it bigger, or a second one, or other bridges. Stuff like that, let me know in the comments what you think was good this year at racing, what was bad, what could we improve, what should we improve, what should we get rid of, what should we add. Take to the comments, let me know. I'm always love to hear from you guys. And the TT is made by the fans, and of course the fans are changing. It's not the hardcore biker festival anymore that it used to be. That's been killed off gently, slowly, and replaced by a cleaner sort of, extreme sports type event, what it is now. So, it's more Monster Energy and less beer drinking bikers from the olden days, which is a shame, which is really bad. I think it's losing a lot of its spirit, but at least I saw a few burnouts this year, so a little bit of that spirit is still alive, and long may it continue. But I said I would leave you with a prediction, and I will, just to wrap this one up. And my prediction is to do with the upcoming TT movie. Now, I'm sure you've heard about it by now, that Channing Tatum was over here. He was scouting the place, I think it was last year, not this year. And they are going to make a Hollywood movie about it. Actually, there were more. I can't tell you all of this because the person in government who told me these things wasn't really, supposed to tell me. There were more than one movie interested in the Isle of Man, and not just Hollywood. Also one that is in a different country, and that's actually bigger than Hollywood. I'm sure you can figure it out. They wanted to come here. They may still come here. Who knows? Could be really cool. But by the look of things, it looks like we're going to get a Hollywood movie. From what I understand, and I'm sure you guys will correct me if I'm wrong here, it's supposed to be, or it's said to be, from the same writer as Ford versus Ferrari, which is great because that's a good movie. And it's supposed to be produced by Brad Pitt, which means it could be the same production team and team that did the Formula 1 movie, which was also pretty successful. And if that happens, and maybe they'll film next year, nothing's really been announced yet, but if you guys know of anything, let me know in the comments, post the stories and links. Post your rumors, post, who you think will star as John McGuinness or as Michael Dunlop, or what the storyline will be. It will be very Hollywood, I'm sure. And I did tell you the story that once in the past they almost filmed a James Bond here, right? They wanted to make a part of a James Bond. Don't know why it didn't happen. Someone will know. But my prediction is, if this really happens, if they make the Hollywood movie about the TT, then this place will turn into Disneyland on 2 wheels. Tourism is going to go through the roof. We ain't seen nothing yet. The TT is already super busy again, with most visitors now. I mean, there's still thousands of bikers show, but a lot of the newer visitors that are new to the event now flying in, especially from America. And if we get this Formula One movie, and it's even a reasonable success, which I'm sure it will be if it's that team behind it, this place, tourism-wise, is gonna go nuclear. This is gonna turn into Disneyland on 2 wheels, I guarantee it. This may actually become the saving grace of the island's economy, which is struggling at the moment, because e-gaming's pretty much died. Self-inflicted entirely, but you know, it's not what it used to be, and that used to be what, something like 20-25% of the economy, so a big loss, big hole there. We need something to replace that. I can't see finance coming here. I can't see, you know, any other sort of businesses come here. One of the biggest growth areas is people moving here, especially a lot of you guys from the UK who of course contact me because I do help people as a hobby, you know, from my other videos. But that doesn't really support our economy very much. So I think this movie, if it does happen, could be our saving grace for the economy. Because if you look at other movies in Hollywood's locations, for example, I lived in Montenegro, and you know, we went over to the border to Croatia to look at the locations of Game of Thrones. And you know, that's completely overrun now. Loads of other movie locations from Hollywood's movies and other movies are, you know, people go there because of the movies. They want to see the locations and that kind of thing. And the same thing, if they make this big movie here, that's going to happen here. I guarantee it to you. We're going to get overrun by tourists. This could be our saving grace. This could be a good and a bad thing. I think we're not going to get as overrun as, say, Dubrovnik or something else, or some of the other locations. Or Venice is a bad example, because Venice is always popular, but overrun in such a way that you have to put barriers there and limit the numbers, which Venice recently did. Dubrovnik did as well. I don't think it's going to get that bad, purely because we're an island and there are physical limitations of how many people can come here by boat and by plane within 2 weeks. That is one of the biggest problems growing the TT, by the way. It's the physical limitation. But the bigger it gets, maybe we're going to get even more international flights, because even though our little airfield here is a bit crappy, it can land, I think the biggest we can land here is something like a 757. They did extend the runway, but unfortunately only the safety zone, completely unnecessarily. Let's not go there. Past management, Jesus. But we can land decent planes here, so maybe we do get more international flights, and that would be great. So I do predict that if that movie comes, and I really hope it does, that this will get super mega busy, that the TT will change even more into an extreme sport Disneyland sort of event, and that it may actually save the island from economic doom. Because at the moment, with the current government we have, who are utterly useless, there's no leadership, there's no strategy, this place is, you know, sort of circling the drain quite quickly. I think this could save us. And that would be really, really cool, you know, because that would sort of kill off the TT haters, of which there are quite a few here. Also in government, okay? Not everyone here loves the TT. So my prediction is, if the TT movie comes, you ain't seen nothing yet. This place is gonna go stratospheric. It's gonna be absolutely mega busy. And you know, maybe I should then come here and offer proper tourist guide tours of the TT when that happens. We'll see, maybe that's from next year. That would be absolutely awesome. I'll keep you updated, and in the meanwhile, take to the comments with your ideas about improvements about the TT and Manx Grand Prix, and with any rumors about the movie, because I want to know. That's all for this video. Thank you very much. See you next time. Like and subscribe, the usual. Have a safe day.